35 years ago when I first went into the ministry and I got my first full-time appointment at Center United Methodist Church in Concord. Really the only communication tools I had were Sunday morning during announcements, and we made a lot of announcements. And basically everybody heard, and they knew what was going on. It was a smaller church. Now at Clemmons United Methodist Church, I find that, and I tell the staff, you have to say something, it seems like 16 times before people actually hear you. And so we use every form of communication that you can think of. We have screens in our sanctuary, so they're scrolling announcements before worship on Sunday morning. We don't make verbal announcements. We feel like worship is worship, but we do utilize those screens for some scrolling announcements. I write a weekly email from the well where I use the scripture for Sunday and do a short meditation, give a financial update and some other things. I try to keep that rather compact too, because people have so many things coming in on their smartphones and computers nowadays. We feel fortunate that we get about a 35 to 40% open rate on Constant Contact. We send out about 800 to 900 emails weekly. We also use all the other forms of social media, from Facebook, tweeting, everything that you can think of. And we try to say things over and over and over again, and still we find that people don't hear at times. It's a much more complicated world that we live in. You already know that more than I do, as far as getting people's attention and getting them to pay attention. But I think it's important that the church use every method that it can think of to get the message out about the work that you're doing, the kingdom work that you're doing in your church. I know it's very important to us here at Clemmons United Methodist Church. The staff here knows that one of the best ways to communicate is just kind of that one-on-one, and so I encourage staff here to spend time with people one-on-one in their different work areas and people that they're working with. People really pay attention when you're sitting there with them and talking with them. I know we went through a strategic planning process several years ago, and we tried to come up with 6 things that were very important for the future, 6 things that we needed to work on. And one of those 6 things was communication. We had someone working with us, and he said, whether it's for-profit or non-profit, communication always gets on the list. People always feel like you don't communicate sufficiently or good enough, because I don't think it's so much that we're not doing a good job. It's just that it's hard to get people's attention. And so I encourage you as a pastor to think of every kind of way that you can to communicate with people. Use the technology. Think about writing. A lot of people make comments to me and respond to me because of my weekly email, more so than my Sunday morning sermon, and that's kind of been a surprise to me. So I would really encourage you to think about doing some sort of weekly email through MailChimp or Constant Contact or something like that. It's just a great way to communicate with people. Well, I hope there's nothing profound here, but I hope some of these suggestions are helpful. And blessings in your ministry and your future in the United Methodist Church in the Western North Carolina Conference.